Alright, today I'm going to go over some tips for fat loss. Over the past 2.5, 3 months, I have successfully lost 17 to 18 pounds of fat. I'll throw some pictures up there, but yeah, I've changed a lot in this cutting phase that has helped me tremendously. And I just want to go over a few things to explain what those things were, how they helped me, why they worked the way that they did. And yeah, so first thing is walking. Walking is probably one of the biggest fucking game changers I've made. I aim to get like 10 to 20,000 steps a day. One thing it's going to do is, well, for one, burn more calories. You know, like whenever you go in a cutting phase, people are going to talk about doing cardio, right? The point of the cardio is to burn more calories so that you can eat more food, right? And create this caloric deficit causing the weight loss. And this is what that is. This is just that in a different form. Yeah, it's a low stressor. Well, what I mean by low stressor is I'm not even really, this isn't fatiguing me at all. I'm not gonna get tired from this. It's not gonna make me get hungry like high intensity cardio would. And again, it's just so easy, you know. I was getting work done while getting my steps in. I'm recording a video and conversating with the camera while getting my steps in. So that's why walking is just so universal and it's just so simple. It also increases insulin sensitivity. Any kind of physical activity will increase your insulin sensitivity. And why that's important is because the more insulin sensitive that you are, the more your body is going to push the nutrients that you absorb into muscle tissue and not adipose tissue like fat. So that's really it just makes everything more efficient, especially in a bulking form, like a bulking standpoint, right? If you're eating in this caloric surplus, you want to make sure that the majority of what you're absorbing is getting pushed into muscle glycogen and growing new muscle tissue than being stored as fat. So walking, just having a higher insulin sensitivity in general will help make that happen the majority of time. Yeah, so next thing I would say is carb timing, for sure. You know, in a caloric deficit, you have a certain amount of carbs to go through in a day, right? And you don't just want to get that in willy-nilly. You want to be at least a little, I don't know, smart with it, right? So what I mean by this is carbs, if you don't know, they're used for energy. Carbs are your body's ideal source of energy because it can more easily break it down, turn it into ATP, which then energizes your physical movements and your brain activity. So carbs are very important, okay? Keep that in mind. Carbs should always be a part of your lifestyle, no matter what kind of diet you're going through. And carb timing is important to time it. Usually I'll do, if I have 250 grams of protein, carbs, my bad, 250 grams of carbs throughout the day, I try to put 60% of that pre-lift and then about 60% of it, or like 40% of it post-lift, right? The reasoning is so that I can use the carbs pre-lift to energize and fuel my workout. And then the post-lift carbs are to then enter a recovery mode as soon as I can to decrease the possibility of my body burning muscle, okay? So post-lift carbs are for recovery and pre-lift carbs are for energy. Now, why is energy levels in the gym important? Part of cutting is to, why the fuck are you cutting? Why do you want to lose weight? It's to lose fat, strictly just fat, right? Part of this cutting process is to reach from fat and use that for energy and not fucking muscle. You want to keep as much muscle on your frame as possible. So carbs, they help you train with intensity. And the reason intensity is important is to maintain your muscle and even build more muscle and gain strength during the cut, which so many people say is not possible. I disagree. I've been doing it the past 3 months because of this, okay? So I would say have 50 to 100 grams of carbs, 45 minutes to an hour and a half before your lift so that you can train with fucking intensity, okay? And then post lift, within 2 to 3 hours, get in another meal that's heavy on carbs, proteins, and fats. You know, drink all of your fluids. And if you do this every fucking day, every training day, this cut is going to go so much fucking easier. Okay. When I started losing weight, I remember seeing all these things about green tea extract or these Celsius energy drinks. They boost your fat mobilizing effect, right? As in they burn more fat when you drink them, when you intake them, right? Yes, it does work like that, but you have to put your body in the right conditions for these supplements to have these fat burning boosting effects, right? As in track your macros, make sure you're in a caloric deficit on the daily, losing 0.7 to like 1.3 pounds per week max, okay? Make sure that you're sleeping good quality, you're training consistently with intensity, and that you're eating a nutrient-rich diet, as in whole foods. Protein sources, beef, chicken, eggs, yogurt, carbs, rice, oats, potatoes. You fucking get it. Bananas. Bananas are fucking great. I love bananas. Call me a fucking monkey. Well, don't call me a monkey. Fats, avocados, nuts, oils. I don't know. I don't really have to directly eat foods to reach my fat goals. I kind of just acquire them from my, like what I eat throughout the day, right? So, whatever. But back to topic. In order for you to have this fat boosting effect with these supplements, you've got to make sure your body's under the right conditions to facilitate that's fucking burning fat in the first place. So that doesn't mean that you're gonna drink a Celsius or some green tea and then go eat fucking 4,000 calories worth of McDonald's and you know, get shredded. That's not how that fucking works. Ideally, you're aware of that. A lot of people aren't, which is nobody's fault. There's not much awareness on, I don't know, nutrient education ever. I think people hear about it in like the 4th grade, but then are never taught more about it the rest of their life, and that's unfortunately how it goes for fucking everybody. So, yeah, that explains the lack of education on pretty basic food education, right? There's one guy I was talking to a while ago, talking about Whole Foods, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the store and get some Whole Foods. And he goes, what is a whole food? And man, that just like opened my mind for a second. Like, people just really do not know this shit. And like that's why I want to start this YouTube stuff, is because I want to spread the education on everything, you know? I want to teach you guys how to get in shape, how to stay in shape, how to eat correctly, how to sleep correctly. People underestimate the power of fucking sleep. Your body has the biggest growth hormone and testosterone boost when you're sleeping, okay? You stimulate the muscle in the gym, tear it up. Whenever you're sleeping is when you actually get bigger and stronger. So if you're not fucking sleeping, if you're trained, you can train every day. You can track every macro. You could not touch alcohol or tobacco or any of this fucking anything, right? But if your sleeping is bad, then you're not going to make progress. It's going to stall your fat loss and your muscle growth potential in general. Your testosterone is going to be lacking. Everything, your cognitive function, everything stems from fucking sleep. All right, that's got to be the biggest base. All right, keep that in mind. Some things you can do to increase the amount of steps you get per day is parking farther away from something than you usually would, taking stairs instead of an elevator. If you hop on a phone call, just pace around the room. The goal isn't how many steps can you get whenever you're doing cardio, it's how many steps you can get at the end of the day. So that literally involves getting out of getting out of bed and walking to the bathroom, walking to your car, walking to the pantry. Like, those are steps. They fucking count, you know? It's these almost involuntary actions that do burn calories that are going to add up to the most amount of caloric burn throughout the day, right? So that's why it's so important to choose an active, healthier lifestyle in general. The guy that lifts 6 days a week, tracks all his macros, and does an hour of cardio or just low intensity activity throughout the day is going to get much further than the guy who does everything else minus the low intensity activity. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about hormone regulation and mood support, right? I have personally struggled with anxiety and depression since I was 15. Now, finding that motivation when you're in the depressed and anxious state is it's gonna be hard, you know? No one wants to fucking get out of bed whenever they're in that mood. So, things you can do to help decrease depression, it just increase mood support in general. Vitamin D. I was taking 5,000 IUs every morning, and it was working. And then I doubled it. I'm taking 10,000 every morning, and I feel even better, you know. And so vitamin D, getting more sunlight exposure. Ironic, I'm saying that because these blinds are closed. Lowering stress. You know, if you're at a job or something that you don't like, which is entirely fucking normal. I don't like my job, but whatever. You try to make it manageable. Kind of say to yourself, this isn't forever. This is just temporary. This is temporary, like, time, right? It's not forever. You're not going to be at the job forever. So yeah, some things can suck, but if you try to shift your mindset to more positive perspective, then you're not going to think about the negative aspects of everything so much. And that's really helped me personally. So yeah, and kind of brings me to my next topic, which is cortisol, right? Now, cortisol's become kind of a fucking meme recently, and not many people actually know what it means, right? So cortisol is a stress hormone. Cortisol is catabolic. Catabolic means in a state of like dissolving muscle, like lean muscle tissue. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so cortisol is it's spiked whenever you're stressed out. So if you're a very stressed out person and you're always focused on the negative things of like literally fucking everything, then yeah, you're decreasing the amount of muscle you're making in the gym, which is stupid. You're probably thinking, no way it has that big of an effect. but it fucking does. Trust me. So, one supplement that I stand by is ashwagandha. I've been taking ashwagandha since I was 16, and I've never noticed any negative side effects. I've literally only noticed positive. I ran out of it for a couple weeks once, and I was more stressed out. I was just more anxious and honestly like having a harder time in general. So I got it again, started taking it again, and I feel fucking great. It gives me some mental clarity. It makes me more calm in general. Supports healthy testosterone production by lowering cortisol. So cortisol and testosterone, they're like a teeter-totter, all right? So if cortisol's way up here, your test is going to be way down here, and vice versa. The test is going to be up here, cortisol is going to be lower. So that's why ashwagandha is fucking important. Shit, I think that's it, honestly. I'm gonna hop off this, go get some food. Yo.